What's up, everybody? It's your boy Ty with Ty Tries Games, and we're back with another one. And you know what I realized? Some of y'all clashers, you got commitment issues. Let's talk about it. So I had a friend of mine reach out to me and say, "Hey Ty, I need to learn how to RC charge." So I was like, "No problem. No problem at all." And he was coming from Zap Dragons. So, Zap Dragons is where you have a bunch of lightning spells or a combination of lightning and earthquake spells, and you're zapping out the air defenses and the air sweepers, and then you're coming in with the dragon army, to take everything out. So he was like, "I'm ready to start RC charging," because he looked at his defense and everybody who was smashing his base was RC charging. So I said, "No problem." I said, "Hey, first things first, flip out all those lightning spells for invisibility spells. And you're going to drop an invisibility spell in your RC every 4 seconds. And you need to make sure that you have the Electro Boots on a Royal Champion." And initially, that's all I told him, and he went off on his merry way. Well, he hit my line back, and he was like, "I cannot figure out this RC charge. Like, I just can't figure it out." So I was like, "All right, well, send me a replay so I can see what you're doing." And when he sent me the replay, the first thing I noticed was he didn't get rid of those lightning spells. He still had like 4 or 5 lightnings. And then he had 5 or 6 invises. So I said, "Look, here's your problem. You're trying to learn a new skill, but you're afraid to commit to it." So it made me start to think. I was like, what is the basis, the foundation to some of these strategies when you're trying to learn the strategy? Now, this is beginner, basic guide. This isn't once you understand the strategies and you can freak them to your liking. This is how you start out. So I decided to come up with the RC Charge Starter Pack. That's right. RC Charge Starter Pack. So when you're learning to RC Charge, obviously it starts with your Royal Champion. So you need to be at least a Town Hall 13, because you need the Royal Champion to RC Charge. Next, you need to make sure that you have the Electro Boots. You need to make sure you have the Electro Boots on your Royal Champion. Now, we'll get into levels in another video, but you need the Electro Boots. And obviously, you're going to get on that equipment grind. You're going to try to get them as leveled up as high as possible. But you have to have the Electro Boots. Now, the second piece of equipment, that's up to your discretion. I would suggest the Rocket Spear or even the Seeking Shield. But equipment number 2 is your choice. It does not affect the RC charge. You just need to make sure you have the Electro Boots. Next, you need 11 invisibility spells. That's right. Correct. 11. Because when you're trying to learn this skill, you need to make sure that you have enough invisibilities to make mistakes, to redirect your Royal Champion if she's not going the way you want her to go. So 11 invisibility spells, and you want these invisibility spells to be level 4, which is the max level for the spell, so that you can get your timing down. With a maxed out invisibility spell, it gives you 4 seconds of duration. So you're going to drop 1 invisibility spell on your Royal Champion as she's making her way through the base every 4 seconds. Let's check it out. So here we are. We have 11 invisibility spells. And we have the Electro Boots on our RC. And you see, she's making her way. Making her way downtown. I'm not going to start singing on y'all. But what I suggest too is when you're learning this skill, you literally count out loud when you're dropping spells. 1, 2, 3, 4, drop. See that? 3, 4, drop. You know, literally count out loud to help you get your timing down. Right? Once you get the timing down, hey, maybe you're smart enough not to count out loud. I still count out loud to just ensure that I'm getting the most value out of that spell. I don't want to be dropping them too early. I don't want to drop them late and get my RC cooked. So, and that's habit. And as you can see, the Royal Champion can take out so much of the base, just her. But you have to commit to the strategy. So real quick, once again, the RC Charge Starter Pack. Your Royal Champion wearing Electro Boots with 11 invisibility spells, and make sure they're level 4, and you're going to drop a invisibility on your RC every 4 seconds. And that is the foundation. That is the basics. That is the starter pack to do that strategy. Once you get good, you can roll back some of those invisibility spells and bring a recall spell or do what you will. I know some who like to bring earthquakes, and they'll earthquake the section that they're about to dive their RC in, so she takes out those buildings a whole lot quicker. So that is how you learn the RC Charge. But moving on, so once I told him that, and he went back, and he definitely hit me back, and he was like, "You're right, Ty. That was my problem. I just wasn't committing. I wasn't committing to the skill." Because once I started committing, once I started bringing those 11 visibilities in, I got it down right away. Moving along, I myself decided that I wanted to start Warden Walk Fireballing. I've watched a lot of content creators, and a lot of the creators and a lot of the pros, that's how they like to open their attack, with the Warden Fireball. It's a very, very strong opener. And the Warden Fireball is one of the best equipments in the game. So I said I need that in my arsenal. But kind of the same thing as my friend. I wasn't fully committing to the Fireball. So when you're going to Warden Walk Fireball, here is mine. Warden Walk Fireball Starter Pack. So the first thing you need to do is you need to have your Grand Warden on ground mode. And real quick, let me show you, because I've had people like, what is ground mode? So when you're looking at your heroes here, see the little foot? You can switch them from the little sandal foot, that's ground mode, or you can put them in air. Ground, air, ground. So you want your Warden in ground mode, right? Next, you want the Rage Gem on your Warden. It's going to make him attack faster. It's going to make his attack stronger. It's also going to beef up the healing. All right? And also, you want the Warden Fireball. And look, the goal is to get it max. It's an epic piece of equipment. It maxes out at level 27. The minimum level was pretty high. It's like level 24. So as you can see, I'm not even to the minimum level, but that does not mean you can't do the attack. It just means that, you know, typically you'd have 2 earthquakes to finish off buildings. You know, you may need 3, you may need 4, depending on the level of your fireball. But you have to have the Rage Gem. you have to have the fireball, right? Okay. Now also, you need at least 3 healers in your army. No more than 5, because after 5 healers, you're losing all value with the healers because they scale. So at least 3. I roll with 3, and to give me that extra push, I put the unicorn on my warden when I'm going to fireball. So at least 3 healers. And coming back to that rage gem is going to beef up those healers. Right? So, and like I said, little cheat code, put the unicorn on your warden if you want more healing on your warden. All right. Next, you need 2 to 4 earthquakes. And that number varies based on how strong your fireball equipment is. All right. But you're going to use that to finish off what you hit with your fireball. I like to start with it to get it out of the way. It's one less thing I have to do. But then you're going to come in with the ice block. Boom, ice block. And then 2 invisibility spells to block what you don't want your warden to hit. And then I also like to have a rage. And that's just in case my warden gets in trouble and I can throw that rage down on them healers and beef my warden back up. Last but not least, you want a couple balloons. A couple balloons, if you got the space, you could even roll with the rocket loon. But a couple balloons, and they're going to test for traps. They're going to speed through the rest of this attack so I can show you a fresh attack using that fireball. But look, that's a lot of stuff to commit to an attack. But it's necessary to learn the attack. Once you learn the attack, you can tweak it so many different ways. You can drop that ice block spell and just use a high hit point building for your warden to anchor to. But when you're learning it, bring the ice block in. It's so much easier to get the fireball off when your warden is not moving. So bring that ice block in here. We're going to watch it again. We're going to watch the Warden starter pack in full effect. You see, I earthquaked, all right? Healers on my Warden. Dropped a balloon. We're testing for traps, all right? Watching it percolate. It's time for the percolator. Dropped another balloon just to be sure. And then I ice blocked my warden so he stopped moving. I hit invises on the things I didn't want him to hit. And boom! Fireball. And then naturally, just how the warden works. If you deploy your mass army close enough to your warden after you get that fireball off, you see how the warden just naturally comes over with the army and jumps in line with the rest of your army? And that's exactly what you want. And those right there, those are the foundational steps to doing the warden fireball. So hey, look, I'm not a pro. I'm just a regular player, just like y'all out there. I'm sharing some of my knowledge with y'all, and I want you to share some back. So drop some stuff in the comments if I forgot anything about the RC charge or the Warden Walk fireball, the basics. Now, I talk about advanced techniques. I can do an advanced video if y'all would like that. If you do, go ahead and drop that in the comments too. And once again, man, I appreciate y'all checking out my videos and tuning in. And this is Ty signing off. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one. Peace.